Hey everyone and welcome. We're about to dive into something truly incredible today. We're talking about India's living treasure, this world of unbelievable biological wealth. So in this explainer, we're going to get into the story of this treasure and the passionate, ongoing fight to protect it.
Our story really begins with an ancient folk song from the Lepcha community. It's just a beautiful way of expressing this core idea in India's relationship with nature, that the whole world, the springs, the rivers, the forests, it's all one harmonious source of life.
So let's get into it. What exactly is this treasure we're talking about? Well, it's India's immense, vibrant, and absolutely essential biological diversity. Now, when we say biodiversity, we're talking about this ridiculously complex web of life. And India is one of the world's richest countries when it comes to this living variety. But this isn't just something that's nice to look at. This web literally creates the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that grows our food. The key word here is interdependence. We depend on it for our very survival.
And that really brings us to this critical point. We often see ourselves as being in charge of everything. But the reality is, we are just one part of this unbelievably intricate system. Our very existence depends on it, not the other way around.
But here's the thing, this treasure, this life support system, it's facing a massive crisis. A crisis that's really driven by human activity, and, as our source material says, an insensitivity to our environment. And the scale of this threat, it's just staggering.
Okay, take a look at this number, 55,000. At the turn of the 20th century, this was the estimated tiger population in India, a truly majestic number for such a majestic animal. Now I want you to hold that number in your mind.
Now, fast forward just over 70 years to 1973, the population had absolutely plummeted to this, just 1,827. From 55,000 to this. Just let that sink in for a second.
So here's why this is so important. This isn't just about one animal. The tiger sits at the very top of the food web. Its collapse is like a giant warning sign, a real canary in the coal mine, for the health of the entire ecosystem and all the other species that are at risk.
So what on earth happened? Well, it was kind of a perfect storm of threats. You had illegal poaching for skins and bones, which became a huge business. The tigers' homes, their forests, were shrinking because of development. And their food sources, the prey animals, were also disappearing. All of this was just made worse by a growing human population. And since India and Nepal are home to 2/3 of the world's tigers, they became the prime targets for this whole devastating illegal trade.
Faced with this absolutely staggering crisis, the Indian government knew it had to act, and act decisively. And this led to a top-down official strategy for conservation.
And the cornerstone of that plan was this, the Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. This thing was a total game changer. It created a really powerful legal framework that, for the first time, made an all-India list of protected species, gave their habitats actual legal protection, and cracked down hard on the trade in wildlife. It was a comprehensive and absolutely crucial first step.
And right on the heels of that act, Project Tiger was launched the very next year. And this is so important. It wasn't just about saving one animal. It was this groundbreaking effort to preserve entire ecosystems, what the project called biotypes of sizable magnitude. The real goal was preserving these huge, diverse habitats, and that really started to turn the tide.
The government's strategy also extends to the forests themselves. This table here kind of shows you the tiered system they created. By classifying forests as reserved, protected, or unclassed, they basically built a structured way to prioritize conservation where it was needed most, while also making room for community management.
But listen, government action is only half the story. The other, and you could argue equally powerful, force for conservation comes from the ground up, from the communities who actually live in and around these natural treasures.
And this slide really shows you the two sides of the coin. On one hand, you have the very structured, government-led Project Tiger. And on the other, you have something like the Chipko movement, a totally grassroots effort where villagers, especially women, would physically hug trees to stop them from being chopped down. Both are vital, and it just goes to show that conservation can be both official and organic.
And the examples of this community power are just amazing. In Sariska, villagers actually used the government's own Wildlife Protection Act to stop a mining operation. In Alwar, 5 villages declared a forest a sanctuary, and made their own rules against hunting. You have movements like the Bij Bachao Andolan that champion sustainable farming, and programs like joint forest management that formally partner communities with the government to fix up degraded forests. I mean, this is what conservation in action looks like.
So here's the crucial point, right? Effective long-term conservation isn't just a government job or a community job. It needs both. It's this blend of ancient traditions and modern policies, and one really can't succeed without the other.
And this brings us to the really beautiful ancient tradition of sacred groves. For centuries, literally centuries, communities have protected patches of forest because they believe them to be the home of gods and goddesses. These areas are left totally untouched, which preserves them in their pristine original state. From the Mundas worshipping the Mahawa tree to the Bishnois protecting blackbucks, this reverence is a powerful, age-old form of conservation.
This quote from Gautama Buddha just captures the whole idea so perfectly. Nature gives freely, it sustains all life, and it offers protection even to those who would harm it. It's just a really profound thought about our relationship with the natural world.
And that leaves us with this final, massive question. The story of conservation in India shows us that the answer isn't simple. It lies in this powerful partnership between top-down policy and bottom-up reverence. But ultimately, the responsibility falls to all of us. And that really is the biggest takeaway